Well, Victoria is the central city of a larger region of 400,000 people. In and of ourselves, we're about 78,000 people, 23% of the population, but we only occupy about 3% of the land base. We have a very dense, compact, livable, walkable downtown.
We have one of the lowest vacancy rates in Canada for rental housing and one of the highest housing prices.
So we recognize that secondary suites was a great way to create affordable housing, to re-densify communities and neighborhoods without impacting on green space, and as well as addressing those issues around economics.
Secondary suite is something, is a rental suite. It can't be sold. 40% of the floor area of the house is the maximum, so it has to be less than half the total floor area. And in Victoria, there's no parking requirement for the suite.
It was the only way we were going to be able to afford a home, probably anywhere in Victoria, but certainly in this neighborhood.
By making it legal, setting the parameters around it, giving information on how to move forward with this, and then after a couple of years introducing this grant program, we really saw an amazing success of bringing these units in.
So people with the grant program are eligible for up to $5,000 in grant money, but it's up to 25% of the value, and it has to be the lesser amount.
We think that the grant money, which is the $5,000, is quite generous, especially if you were doing a smaller renovation. It would make a significant difference.
So far we've created 150 under our secondary suite program, and we're very pleased with the results.
It was pretty clear what the requirements for a legal suite were, and having access to also, there were a number of staff members that were dedicated to the secondary suite program, so they were good to field questions when we had them and we needed them.
We had paid advertising to promote our meetings, and particularly the Home Sweet Home meeting, which was the big meeting we had in 2009 after we'd made a number of zoning changes. And we had about 150 people turn out, many with plans in hand to try and get the information on putting a suite in their home.
It was a great message for council to know that we had done our homework right and that our community supported it.
You need a kitchen, you need a bathroom, it should be separate entrance. And in our case, it has to be rented.
And our tenants have been welcomed onto the street the same way that we were, and we had neighbors that came over with a dozen eggs for them when we moved in, and we haven't had any negativity.
We have secondary suites as an approved land use in our official community plan. In our comprehensive housing strategy, that was seen as a key component of it. And the CRD also has secondary suites as an important housing form.
So it makes the permit process easier to know that city staff are behind a secondary suite program. Had we had any issues with neighbors, we can go and say, but you know what, this is the direction that the city's going, and there's good reasons for it.
Social housing costs about $250,000 per unit. And yet if you can encourage through legislation and allow for the private sector to pick up and put in secondary suites, that's really cost effective.
There's definitely an advantage to creating these suites and not having the public pay for affordable rental accommodation when we can provide it in private homes.